So, last night, late last night.
Yes.
Where I should have gone to bed, I did not. I did a bunch of work. And I was sitting there thinking, this is like I was on the phone with Maddox till probably, 12:30, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in my studio drinking heavily, as you do.
Yes.
And I had been reading on some stuff, and I was playing around on YouTube. I'd put a couple of videos up from this program.
Mm-hmm.
Not the ones I wanted, because Livestream ate half of the file.
Oh, what?
Yeah, that's all right. There's a couple of them. I really wanted to put the story about the Amish horse up there, but it
didn't make it?
It didn't make it. But one of the stories that did go in was Washington State talking about how they're renaming marijuana as cannabis.
Yes.
And it was an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
It really was. Yeah. And we got to talking about the spelling, Marihuana.
Right.
Marijuana. And the reference to Reefer Madness. So guess what I watched last night?
Oh, yes.
Not only did I, because it's up there. I mean, it's a public domain film. I watched the colorized version of it, and whoever did it did a really good job with it. It's a
colorized.
Yeah, there's a colorized version. It's been digitally colorized.
You know they turned it into a stage play.
I know that. Yes,
there's a Broadway show musical.
So I'm looking at the original.
Yes.
It's been a while since I'd seen it, and it is, God, it's hokey. And campy. It's unintentionally hilarious.
Oh, it is.
There's all these fallacies that go through the whole thing, and it's just so obvious about how Angsley was trying to really demonize this.
Right, right.
And I was looking into the history of the production of that film, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, right.
A number of those actors went on to do a bunch of other things.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They not all of them. There's like an actual cast of about a dozen, I think, that's in it.
Yeah.
And about, maybe 5 of them went on and did some other things.
Really?
They were younger actors. They were actors. It was a gig.
And they were taking a gig, yeah. And I bet every one of them smoked pot.
That was probably pot they were smoking when they were shooting.
Yeah, right.
And there's quite a few people in that film that are uncredited. Okay?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Not sure why, but I have a fascinating story that I learned about that film.
Oh, wow. They do have the colorized.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's a pretty good version of it. The audio is a little better. They kind of remixed it, I guess, but at any rate.
Jesus.
There was an actor in there.
Yes.
Who's in this film. His name, Ted Ray, W-R-A-Y. Ted Ray was born in 1908, and he died sometime in the 80s.
Really?
And his only single acting credit is Reefer Madness. And he was, and still is, enormously famous for this.
For this? Which guy was it?
And he has 0 speaking lines, and he's in 3 separate shots and 2 full scenes.
Really?
Yes.
That's it?
That is it. And he is the subject of GIFs, of memes, of all of this stuff.
Really?
He's not in the credits. It's an uncredited part, but his character has a name, and he's referred to it in the film as Hot Fingers.
He is that guy.
He's the piano
player. I knew it.
And here's the remarkable thing about the piano player. He's never in the apartment where the hot parties are going on. He's only playing in the soda fountain. Because, the kids would go to the soda fountain and they would get the Cokes and the whatnot. And that's where they met before they would go to dude's apartment to smoke all the reefer.
Okay.
And it's various people playing the piano in that apartment. And there's a couple of women that are playing the piano. There's another guy that shows up and plays. And the whole thing about play faster.
Yeah.
It's that one guy who spoiler alert, they arrest him at the end, and he goes to hang, I think, because he's the one that shot the girl. Blah, blah, And he's deemed to be clinically insane and all of this other stuff because he smokes the devil's lettuce.
Yes.
But there's a point in there where this girl is sitting at the piano and she's playing something, and he's sitting there high out of his gourd, which means in that film, in that world, he's just manic.
Right.
And he says, faster, faster, play faster, faster. And he gets all worked up. Yes. Yes.
Oh, my God.
And this girl is playing so fast that she's like almost sweating. But yeah, Hot Fingers is the character's name, and I think he even has a last name, Hot Fingers Bailey or something. Hot Fingers is portrayed by a guy by the name
Ted
Ray. Ted Ray, W-R-A-Y.
Yeah.
Now, here's the really weird part. This is around the same time that a young woman would become a major star. Prior to this, her name was Fay Ray, and I'm wondering if she's related to him. The web is just not filled with much information when it comes to this. Reefer Madness was released in 1937. So it was probably shot, I guess, around 1936, maybe somewhere in there. It's only an hour long.
Yeah, it is.
And it is, it's done in cooperation with what would later be known as the Drug Enforcement Agency.
Right.
But King Kong was 1933. This was 1936, 37, so it's feasible that they could be related. She was born, if I recall, 1901. She died not too terribly long ago.
Fay Ray?
Yeah, she was like 100 when she died.
Really?
Or 101. So, yeah, about 20 years ago.
She's still being clutched by a gorilla?
That's how they buried her.
Oh, in a gorilla hand.
In a gorilla hand, yeah. You're going to have her stuffed. She's sound, Hollywood and Vaughn.
Right.
But Ted comes around. I would love to know how these uncredited cats wound up in this film. Now, he has no speaking lines. But the first time you see him is in the first part of the film where he's playing the piano in this soda fountain. And he just stops playing at the end of this tune, and he walks into what looks like to be like a dressing room looking deal. It's got the louvered doors, and he puts a cigarette out, and then he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out a joint, a reefer. And he lights this thing, and that's when he gets that maniacal look in his eye, and he's staring at the camera, and he's blowing smoke, and he had the hair parted down the middle, and he looked like one of the Marx Brothers.
Yeah. Yes.
So that was your first, seeing him, and then later, not too much longer after that, the girl comes in with a couple of the guys. They're all buddies, they're all school kids, right? They're all high school kids, and she says, "Hey, that's Hot Fingers. He plays here every week or something."
So the scene in the apartment is not him.
He's not in the apartment, from what I recall. No, he's not in the apartment. There's various people playing the piano, but I don't recall him being in there.
All right.
Because at one point, like by halfway through the film, you don't see him ever again. He's only in like 3 scenes.
Well, so here's the piano scene I'm watching silently.
Okay, that's the end scene. That's not Hot Fingers, of course. That guy, he gets arrested and charged with being criminally insane and for killing somebody.
Which is utterly ridiculous.
Of course. Everything,
oh, yeah, here's where he goes faster.
That's the whole point.
Yes,
he's sitting in the chair and he starts losing his mind. They referred to cannabis throughout this entire film as a dangerous narcotic.
Right.
Which narcotics don't cause mania.
No.
Typically.
No.
Oh, there's so much misinformation.
I know.
There's a couple of nuggets of truth in there, but, like the guy who runs the apartment, you never see him smoke it. His job is to sell it to the kids, right? He's pushing it. And it's him and his girlfriend that are at this apartment. And almost every time you see him, he walks into the kitchen. The girlfriend is pouring a drink, and he sits at the table and he's eating. He's constantly eating.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It's like, wow, you got the munchies, dude.
Yeah. And maybe that's why.
There's this insinuation that, like this one girl, she'd never been to this thing, and she shows up. She's the sister of one of the guys that winds up getting wrongfully arrested or something, wrongfully convicted.
Oh, my God.
And she's sitting on the couch, and she's waiting on her brother, and he's somewhere in some other room just getting stoned to the bejesus. And the guy she's sitting with here on this couch, I think is that guy, the antagonist. They get high together. She doesn't know what's going on, so she's somehow completely unaware that she's smoking marijuana.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yes,
that's a
yes.
thing, I guess, with them.
I guess it is.
They couldn't tell the difference between a
That and a
camel
cigarette,
and a
right,
cigarette,
right.
right? And nobody's coughing.
Well, camel only has 2 toes.
Right. And they're both getting high, and then he decides to just rip her clothes off and rape her on this couch, and that's when the boyfriend walks in, and then that girl winds up dead as a result of a struggle. But the guy, the brother never fired the shot. It was the other dude, got her in the back, and oh yeah. But they all blamed it on this
reefer,
this dangerous narcotic known as marijuana.
Wow.
And that's what that was.
Yeah, it's just a ridiculous film. I've got a copy of it on VHS that I bought.
It has been remastered up to 4K. You can get now.
Yeah.
There's apparently an audio remaster of it, and the colorized version. I was pretty impressed with with how it came out. I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, they've gotten better with that technology.
Oh yeah.
I remember some of the early days of colorization, like on black and white.
When they did that to the Stooges.
Yeah. Oh God.
I was like,
well, and it would bleed.
Yeah.
And, they like walk across the screen, and their pink face would still be behind them.
Yeah, it was a smear thing. And they did that to Laurel and Hardy films too, and it was Ted Turner that did a lot of that.
Yeah, he did.
And nobody wanted this. We didn't ask for this.
And I think because of him and pushing for that, I think that's how the technology had just really, really increased. And it's good now. I've seen some stuff that I saw Miracle on 34th Street a couple of years back that had been colorized, and it was well done.
You have to remember, when they made those films, they intentionally shot for black and whites. It's a whole different deal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so colorizing is almost impossible to get right. And there's a couple of points in that colorized version that, in the beginning with the government dude who's standing at a PTA meeting, and he's wearing these real thick glasses, and everything else looks great, but behind his glasses is black and white. They couldn't get that colorization.
Yeah, because of the glass, the
way the glasses were shifting the light element. So but that's Ted Ray. That's
God, that's so funny.
That's the maniacal piano playing reefer head.
Yes. And then the guy going faster, faster.
That guy's actually pretty good. He does a good job with that. Yeah, he's criminally. We're going to move, Your Honor, that this man be sent to a psychiatric facility for the criminally insane because he smokes reefer. Hangs out with seedy colored people.
Yeah.
That's and oddly enough, they didn't do that in this film, even though we all know that there was all it is white people.
I know. I found that
there's not a black guy, there's not a Mexican in there. You would think if they were going to be that racist about
I know, and push
push
this agenda. Yeah, this narrative. You would think they would try to slant it that way.
The guy that sells the pot to everybody sits in an office with a cash machine.
And see, that's really funny because that's not how it works anyway.
No, you don't go to
I mean, now you do in legal states.
In legal states,
yeah. But
you don't go see dude at Dope Incorporated and
God, can you imagine what the people who supported that film back then? Can you imagine what they would think today? If any of them are still
around. Good on you, because by this point they'd have been stoned.
Probably so. They would have smoked it and said,
"Is this what everybody was all worked up about?" Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
That is correct.
And you see now that it's nothing.
No, it is absolutely nothing. But oh my God, yeah, that film. But yeah, I was fascinating to know who is that guy, because he's on every meme and there's tons of gifs about him out there, and his face and that smile is directly associated with the cannabis culture.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
His name is Ted Ray.
That's so funny.
He's got an IMDb thing. It's the only thing you'll see him in, but he's uncredited in Reefer Madness as Hot Fingers.
Born in 1908.
Yeah. When did he die? It was in the 80s, wasn't
it? Oh, no. 1950.
Oh, 1950.
He died January 26, 1950 in Big Bear.
You see, that's what that dope will do for you.
That's right.
It'll kill you.
There's no picture of him, though, on IMDb.
Well, you do a Google image search and you'll see all sorts of interesting stuff.
Yeah, there's nothing on IMDb.
And he's not in the wiki.
Oh, yeah,
either.
there is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ted Ray. Acting career that didn't go very far. But yet became one of the most famous people of the day. 1936, 1937 when that film was done. So,
yeah.
Whatever. It's fascinating.
Wow.
It really is.
Yeah, that's all he did.
Yeah.
That was it. You're right.
That is it. He wound up becoming a piano player at a hookah lounge.
Hookah lounge, right.
Who knows?